Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. This is Timberfall Craft and I am Jake. And today we're going to be talking about the question, should you buy the Condor Bushlore? And that is this knife right here. And if any reason you have to listen to me about this knife is that I've owned this knife for, I want to say 15 years, at least 15 years. I don't remember if I got it right when this came out, but it wasn't that much later on that I got this knife. So I've had this knife for a really long time. This knife used to be the knife, the only knife I needed, the only knife I used. I used to be like a one knife guy. I used to have like one or two fixed blades and a couple folding knives, and I was set. I didn't need anything else. There's no reason for you to get anything, I thought, because I have what I need and it does all the knife stuff. And you know, I've always been obsessed with knives and I would still slowly accumulate a knife here or there. But it's only more recently, within the past like 5 or 6 years, that I've really gone overboard and started like just buying too many knives. I don't know if I should say too many knives, but way more way more than anyone ever needs, right? So anyway, talking about the Condor Bushlore. I don't remember who designed this knife, but if you know anything about Condor, they're made in El Salvador, and they use 1085, 1075, and 1095 a lot. But I believe this one is in 1075, so you're not working with a really great steel. Like, it's a really tough steel, and that's good for a scandi ground knife. This knife is a scandi knife. It comes with a pretty decent sheath. I'm not a big fan of hip sheaths, so I've been carrying this in a different sheath, but this is the sheath it comes with. You could always add a dangler to it. And then I added the lanyard with this knot, which is a knot that's adjustable, so you can cinch it on your wrist. It doesn't go anywhere, and then you can just let it chill there too. But I've had this knife for a really long time, as I said, and it definitely shows. So it is kind of nothing like it is out of the box anymore. You can go look up a new Condor Bushlore and tell that this thing is heavily used. It's got a really good patina on it, and these come with a scandi grind, but this pretty much has a convex edge on it, and it is pretty sharp. And like I said, I think these are 1075, so that's a really good steel, tough steel for a scandi knife, especially if it's going to be a bushcraft knife and you're going to do batoning with it and some hard use. You're looking at about 3 millimeters for thickness, I believe. You've got a nice wooden handle here, really comfortable shape. And you know, your blade length is 4.5 inches. So that's a really good blade length range for a lot of people. If you're into bushcraft or hunting and you want to carry an axe and a saw, or just a saw, this is pretty much going to take care of everything that you need. I would carry this with the Baco. You don't want to spend a ton of money and you want a good knife. This is one of the best budget options available, in my opinion. You could always get a Mora Classic or a Mora, and the Moras are really tough, but they're not full tang like this. This will, in my opinion, be a lot tougher than a Mora, even though Moras are pretty tough. But I've beat the heck out of this thing. And this used to get paired with the Baco. This is the Baco Laplander saw. And if you're looking to get into bushcraft and you don't want to spend a lot of money, you can get these two items for under $100. And you can do anything with these than anybody else can with anything more expensive. you're just as capable. These tools right here have had probably more use than anything that I own, just because I had them for such a long time. These are tried and true, and they're really just hard to beat. You can get better stuff and you can spend more money, but you don't really need to. So with this steel choice, you're getting a really tough steel, and that's good for a scandi ground knife. This is going to come with a 0 grind on it, so it's going to be really good at woodworking. Carbon steel is a good survival knife option because it's really easy to get an edge on this. So it's going to go dull fast, and you're going to have to strop it and maintain it quite often. But in my opinion, that's fine, because then you can resharpen this and restrop it. You can restrop this to a razor edge super easy out in the field. You can sharpen this with a rock. Just find a nice smooth stone somewhere, and you could sharpen this. You have a lot of that new super steels out there and stuff, and yeah, the edge lasts a really long time. But if you're looking in a long-term situation, eventually that knife's going to go dull. And if you have a stone, eventually the stone is going to wear out too. And it might take a really long time, but you could also lose that stone. This will be super easy to get the edge back. And if you do have a stone, it's not going to use as much of that stone bringing this edge back either. But you can just keep restropping this for quite some time before you have to sharpen it. It doesn't need to be hair-popping sharp the whole time you use it. Just keep working with it until it gets a little dull, and maybe just strop it out after like every half hour or hour of solid continuous use, and you will be able to keep bringing this edge back to a very sharp edge. And then once you can't bring it back with the strop, then you sharpen. But they have several variations of this knife now. They have one with a different steel option that's like rust resistant. It comes with a blue handle. And I think they have one or two more out there besides this one nowadays. But what this knife is based off of the Ray Mears knife. And I don't know if you know who Ray Mears is, but he is a really knowledgeable survival skills, bushcraft type fellow. And if you've never seen any of his stuff, I suggest you go and watch videos from Ray Mears. You will learn a ton from that guy. He knows a lot. And he has a really cool knife. But that knife is very expensive. It's a very expensive knife, and there's also very, very expensive versions of that knife and different people making versions of that knife. And the reason everybody's making a version of that knife is because it's a really good knife. And this is a budget version of the Ray Mears knife, essentially. So now that we've talked about this, should you buy the Bushlore? Well, you got to ask yourself, how into bushcraft are you? Are you going out a couple times a year? And you're looking for a cheap bushcraft knife? I would not look any further than this. This is so good, such a good knife. If you want a baton, you want that blade in the 4.5-inch range, and you want to spend under $100, you want to spend $60, $70. This is a super comfortable and capable blade. You just got to note that the steel could rust, and your edge retention isn't going to be the best, but it's going to be super easy to sharpen, and it's going to be super tough. There's a lot of people that probably have videos on this thing just because it's been around for such a long time and it's such a good knife. I will say that if you guys want a review on this knife, I can give one. Leave it down in the comments if you want a full review on this knife. But it's so used that it's nothing like what you would be getting if you were to buy it new. So the performance is going to be way different. This blade geometry has changed, and it's almost a different knife now. But if you guys want to see more about this, leave it down in the comments. Let me know. And let me know what your best budget bushcraft knife is. Put it down in the comments. Let's say anything under $75, $70 will be considered a budget bushcraft knife. So put your top budget bushcraft knife down in the comments. like and subscribe. And that was it. We're just talking about the Bushlore and should you buy it. Thanks for sticking around, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.